going into this final game, who are the two guys that you are really looking to make a difference in this game to kind of put a stamp on their ticket to the 53-man roster?
Two guys, and it hasn't changed for me. It has not changed since the very preseason game. I said these two guys, you either gonna make it or you gonna break it. I need to see, not make it and break it, but I need to see something out of you all even more. Offensively, Daenerys Prince. You're gonna have the lion's share probably of carries tomorrow. Okay, starting out probably the first half. You and Carson Steele. It's going to be between y'all two. That's right there. When you see that, that's a competition everybody needs to watch tomorrow. I'm telling you. Okay, that's one. The other one is King Felix. He may get that and develop somewhere within, but tomorrow I need to see him let it fly. Just let it go. Just let it go, man. Don't worry about making a mistake. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about any. Just go out there, man, and just ball out. Okay? Just ball out. That's what we just need to go ahead and get those. Just pull the reins off. Just pull it off, man. I don't know what you think about nothing else. You go out here and you just ball. You do your best. I'm talking about you go out here, you beat this tackle up, guard whoever it is in front of you. You make sure you win each and every battle that you have. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. And so, he said he gets tired. Hey, man, that's why he's playing though. We got to get him tired. We got to see what he's got to be able to do. So those two guys, okay. Next guys will have to be from King Suma. Want to see him even more, okay. And then also too, the corner who's going to be playing, whoever's going to be starting. We're going to see that. So,
yeah, I love all your names you brought up here. I'm going to go a little more on the radar, guys, more as depth guy. Someone who kind of popped off the screen at me, and I actually wanted to ask you about it because I don't think you and I have talked about him. Because I know with that Omena who, we're going to kind of look for another guy to be a rotational edge rusher, JD, and guy who stood out to me last week was Truman Jones, the edge rusher from Harvard, I believe. I did some research on him, number 57. Mm-hmm. He stood out to me last week as somewhat of a guy who, apparently he looked good during training camp. Rotational guy. I think he was signed by us last year, 2023, as a UDFA practice squad guy, and now he's making some noise in the game. But between him and Owen Carney are two defensive ends who kind of popped off the screen a little bit towards late in that game. And I know some people make the argument, he was going against 4-string guys, but. Yeah. I mean, we're going to need someone to step up here, some other guys to step up as rotational edge rushers, especially without the Omenahu situation. So that situation, I'm going with obviously FAU. I want him to look better than he has, but those two as far as rotational guys on the back end, and then Justin Ross, I want him to finally cement, put a slam dunk on that case to kind of like we did last year's Browns game where he caught the fade route. Yeah. Give us something like that to let the whole world know, like, look, I'm making this team and I'm actually going to get reps during the season on the starting offense. I want to see that. I want to see that case be made. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Justin Ross, like I said before, he's got to be tight with everything that he does, catching the football, but also too on special teams. He got to show that he can go down and play. Like I said, if he's going to make the team, this is going to be it. Special teams got to be the catalyst for him to make the roster fully. I think that's what it is, Marcus. Okay. And I love his ability. We could keep talking about his ability all day, but it's still the point of like this guy right here has to play special teams. Okay. We can't compromise anything else because of that. Truman. Okay. I haven't really seen too much. Like you said, who you're going against is kind of like, it's okay. Fine. Then let him put him in early, see what he can do. Okay. I don't think our defensive line has been as crisp as I thought they would be. Okay. And I need to see more from that. Somebody said Dickerson on here. I need to see more from Dickerson. He's had some flashes, but it still hadn't been enough. Right? You know, it hasn't. But this is kind of like this is what we need to see. We need to see this, right? But we know Chris is not in there. But I said you got to have a dog beside Chris. You have to. That tells the tale. Tells the tale. So,
and no one has stood out on that other spot. The spot that you and I were begging the last two drafts to draft another defensive tackle in the early rounds of the draft, it still hasn't. It still hasn't manifested yet. The guys we've signed have not really taken that mantle yet, and God forbid anything happens to Chris Jones. God forbid.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
So
See what
we got some questions here. I was going to get to.
Okay.
Susan has a really good question. Obviously, Susan, for those who don't know, Susan, this is JD's wife, his lovely wife.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a question. So, JD, does Andy tell players they're not coming back, or does he have other coaches do it?
Yeah. So it all falls on Andy's shoulders. And usually he's the one that has the out interview, if you will, telling guys like, "Hey, man, I appreciate it, but you it falls on him. He's the big dog. He's the one that makes the call ultimately at the end. No other coaches can do it. Um, it would have to be Andy. So if you being administered any type of bad news, let's just say you at a doctor's office, you fall on the doctor to do it. You don't want to give it to anybody else. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. That's respect. That's having decency with the guy, just to look him in his eye and let him know maybe where he faltered, or where you just can't use him. And hey, this is what we have to do. We got to move on. It was good knowing you and seeing you, and Andy and the coaches, the position coaches, will give you notes of like what you could have done better. What could you improve on? If teams have been asking about you, they'll give you other information as far as in that regard. But Andy, he's the one that has to be the one to kind of give you the bad news. Now I know sometimes, we see on Hard Knocks, it could be the player personnel guy. So it just depends. But I think Andy's, the one that sometimes handles certain guys for sure.
Did Dick Vermeil do it?
Dick did. He talked to some guys. I think ultimately, you would have, it depends, because they're practicing different times, because sometimes they'll let guys go at different times. They might let guys go right before practice and whatnot. So he may not have to do it because other guys have to do it at that time, right? It's the, player personnel, like I said, Tim Terry, guy I played with. You want to hear from a guy who's played in the game, who could tell you everything that you needed to do, maybe talk about maybe getting somewhere else. But I think that's really ultimately on the head coach. If he is available to do it, sure. If they bring guys in early, and coach, he'll slot his time to make sure it takes care of those things. But then, of course, I mean, practice still got to roll. The machine can't stop, and a lot of guys, man, it's going to be hurt. It's going to be hurt. So,
yeah, G-Pick makes a joke about Coach Vermeil being a very emotional guy. So yes, but he cried when he told them.
no, I'm sure. I'm sure some guys he did. Some guys he didn't. Some guys, just tell them the truth. Hey, if you do a little bit better over this, yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there. And so, coaches, Coach Vermeil, man, was always good at that. He's been doing it for a long time. So Andy's been doing it for a long time. But some guys, I think they regulate to, like I said, the player personnel.
Is it like and I know I always try to like make the comparisons to like our everyday jobs. Like, for example, if I lose my job at one company, I can have as a reference, I can put like my former boss as my reference to the next place. Is there a way like Andy, because coaches all know each other, right? Some of them are on the same coaching tree. Like, for example, I get cut, but we know Jacksonville's team's much worse than the Kansas City Chiefs team. Is there a way could Andy give Doug a call and say, hey, got this guy, we couldn't keep him around. Like,
Oh,
do coaches do that as well?
absolutely, all the time, all the time. And they're talking now, back and forth. The guys they may keep and they might keep. They'll find out who they got. And so when you're familiar with a coach, then that's how it happens. So it's rapport. Andy knows they know each other. Sure, these guys are all friends pretty much. Sometimes, and I heard Mike Tomlin was saying uh, he was asking about Russell Wilson. He said, I didn't have to confer with Sean Payton. It's just not how we do things up here. But I'm sure player personnel is doing it. He may call. You want to find out what a guy is. Mike might not himself might not do it, or the coaches. But you best believe they got every word that's possibly out there about a guy. They're going to get it. There's nothing that's hidden or they don't know. It's like, oh, we didn't know that. We didn't know this guy didn't run a 4.04. They're gonna know. They're gonna know everything about it. They're gonna know your proclivities. They're gonna know what you like. All of that.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.